I could make 1,000 videos giving advice, and I know you idiots will still wait until the last day to submit your college apps, but hey, I'm not here to judge, I'm just here to help. I know a lot of you guys are super busy between school and college app work, so I'll keep this video straight to the point. I'm here to give you practical last-minute tips that you can immediately apply to elevate the competitiveness of your college application. Over the last 2 to 3 years, I've literally read through hundreds of college applications, and I'll keep it a buck, I think the activities list is one of the hardest sections to get right. There's just so many decisions you have to make between how you rank your activities, the way that you describe them, that it can be very easy to go wrong. So I'm gonna give you a couple quick pointers that you can directly add to your college application right now. It'll literally take you 5 minutes to just clean up the way that you've described your activities. The first thing you wanna do is quantify as much as possible. Wherever you can, use numbers to explain the amount of work you did, the impact that you had. If you went and did some kind of volunteering, you can be very open about the number of hours that you've done that volunteering for. If you were tutoring people, list the number of students that you tutored or the number of seniors that you worked with in a nursing home facility. Building on top of that, when you list out the actual things that you're doing in that activity, you're writing that description. Use semicolons to separate your ideas. This is the cleanest way to do it. There is no need to be writing full sentences with a bunch of excess words to explain what you did. Your goal is that within the 150 characters that Common App provides you, you want to be able to convey as much useful information as possible. And the cleanest way to do that is to just separate all your ideas using semicolons. I just cooked up this quick example for a student working at a senior home. Let's start with the bad one, talk about why it's wrong, and then get into the good one. I have been working in this senior home since 10th grade, and I spent a lot of time interacting with the elderly. It was really fun. Now don't even laugh at this description, because I know a lot of you guys write stuff like this and then send it to me, Pratik, can you review my college application? Bro, I don't want to have to read this. First things first, your descriptions should actually be conveying something new about the activities that colleges don't already know. If you have a phrase in there like I worked with the elderly, yeah, no shit. It's a senior care home. What else are you doing, bro? Next mistake. There's no need to mention when you actually started doing the activity. There's literally a place in the activity box to check the grades that you were doing this extracurricular for. Why say I started it in 10th grade when you could just check those boxes? Colleges get it. Now, when you describe an activity with something like it was really fun, I don't think that there's anything particularly wrong with using like an adjective or having some way to just briefly explain how you felt about the activity, but do it in a way that's a little bit original, that couldn't just be used for every single activity on your list, but is actually relevant to the activity that you're talking about. Now let's look at a good example. Hosted games and music concerts at 10 plus nursing homes, provide company to memory care residents, assist seniors with technology use. We're now able to elevate the level of the description by quantifying the work that we're doing. Colleges now get a better understanding of how many people you worked with, the types of things that you did with them. This kind of description actually gives them more insight into exactly what you did and why it makes you a better applicant, a better candidate. There's one more thing you also want to check in your activities list just before you decide to submit all your applications to colleges. If you go through your activities list, college is going to ask you how much time you spend on this activity, right? How many weeks per year and how many hours per week. Go through and add up all of the hours per week of your activities and see what the total comes out to being. We only have 168 hours in the week, and if you account for the fact that you got to spend 8 hours sleeping and 8 hours in school, there's only so much free time that you have left. If you add up the number of hours for the activities you're doing, and it's literally clearing the amount of free time that you would have, well then we have a problem. And if colleges even kind of catch wind that you're making up your numbers and you're lying, it's a terrible look for your college application, because once your admissions officer doesn't trust you, it's low-key raps. Keep your hours realistic, don't embellish it, and at that point you're good to go. My next tip is an absolute banger one. If you know exactly what you want to do in the future, and maybe it's a hybrid between 2 different fields, maybe it's an unconventional major, or maybe you know that you want to become like a doctor in the future, but you have exact plans on what you want to do, you can use this tip to give colleges a little extra information about your future plans. The first thing you want to do is pull up your Common application. I have like a demo account that I've just made right here. Right now I'm just in the main Common application tab. Go there. What you want to do is click on education and then scroll all the way down, click on future plans. In the future plans, you can see that they basically ask you what degree do you want to earn, and then what is your career interest. Click on whatever major you have. You can actually click the tab other, and a new box will open where Common App gives you 100 characters to just write about whatever you want. 100 characters is literally 15 to 20 words. It's a whole sentence. You can talk in much more detail about exactly what you want to do in the future. There's a new level of flexibility added to your application, and most students don't do this. It's just one more way that you can make your college application stand out if you have something clever to say. Now, when it comes to the awards section, look, I get it, right? For a lot of high school students, not all the extracurricular activities that you're involved in necessarily lend themselves towards getting awards. If you're involved in a lot more volunteering and nonprofit type organizations, you might go through the entirety of high school having only won 1 or 2 or even no awards. So here's what you want to do. In an ideal world, Common App gives you space to list 5 awards, and you can fill all 5 spots. Now, you're much better off putting in at least some kind of an award. Even if you don't think it's like a massive award, you're better off putting that into your Common application than just leaving it blank. So we can think a little bit outside the box here for if you have an extra 1 or 2 spots on your Common App awards list for things that we can stick in there. A couple ideas right off the bat include if you were an AP scholar, if you have any kind of honor roll that you've won in high school, maybe you did national merit and that's in the process of going through, you have some like early finalist standing, throw all of these on your awards list. Now, for full clarity here, I'm not saying that just by adding these things, you're suddenly going to get into Harvard. But if you have an extra space, don't just leave it blank. If you have one of these awards and you're wondering whether or not it's competitive enough for colleges, you might as well put it on your college application. If you've done a lot of community service in high school as well, a lot of times you can apply for like the Presidential Volunteering Award, which basically you just give like proof of having done a certain number of hours, and you can qualify for some like gold award or silver award. Again, this might not make or break your entire college application, but if you've done the work, you might as well get the award and put it on your college app. Now, if you have a very competitive college application, you're on the other side of the spectrum, where you have more than 5 awards, do not just take any awards that don't fit on your top 5 list and never mention them to colleges. Take them and put them in the additional information section for. That's what it's meant to be used, additional information. Put your additional awards there. You should also be using this additional information section as effectively as possible. Let's say you have some kind of like paper publication in high school. Maybe you were lucky enough to get like a patent, or there's some kind of news articles that you were involved in. Go ahead and take all of those details, anything that you didn't have space to already mention in your college application, and stick it here. If you really want to, you can even put a link, but I'm generally not the biggest fan of it because admissions officers, they just don't have the time to be clicking all these things. They literally spend like 15 minutes reviewing your application. They're probably not going to see it. But if there was like a really cool news story written about you or something you're really proud of, well then a link here might be useful. Also, when you do put information in here, like for example, if you're gonna list a paper that you wrote, don't stick the entire abstract of the paper in there. There's no need. Keep it short, keep it straight to the point, list like the title of the paper or the title of the article and call it good. You don't need to go in more detail than that. If COVID did have some kind of a major impact on your school, maybe you had a semester that was pretty whack because of the way that grading worked over COVID, be sure to bring that up here. This is the best place to mention it. It can pretty much only help your college admissions chances if you just bring up a couple sentences here as to why maybe COVID had an impact on some of your grades and classes, but be logical with it. If you got 1 A- or like a B+ in a class, there's no need for a 4-paragraph explanation in this section as to why it happened. You're just calling more attention to that thing than is necessary. However, if you got a D in a class because you didn't have internet over COVID, yeah, bring it up. One of the strangest errors that a lot of students overlook is actually formatting errors within the Common application. The Common App, at the end of the day, is an online tool. And so the way that these things work behind the scenes is that if you're gonna take, and I'm especially talking about your college essays, and copy paste them directly from like a Google Doc into the Common App's essay tool, sometimes there can be formatting errors that you don't notice. What you want to do is actually be able to clear the external formatting that Google Docs applies, and then copy paste the raw text into Common App. So here's how you're gonna do that. On most Windows laptops, and even on Mac, this should work as well, you can open up what's called like a text file, which is basically just this like raw text application, and you're gonna take your Google document, essay, or wherever you're writing your personal statement and other essays, paste it into this notepad document. It's gonna turn into like just like the raw bare text, then copy paste it again from there and put it into the Common application. That way, if there's these extra indents and spaces behind the scenes, all of it is cleared and your Common application will look splendid. As for your final proof check, go into the PDF at the very end right before you submit to colleges, and go through that once, just to make sure that nothing is looking weird or funky. When you are ready to submit your final college applications, look, I'm not your parents, I'm not your school guidance counselors here to like handhold you through this process, but I am here to give like my earnest advice. Try your best to submit your college applications at least 48 hours before the deadline. The only reason for this is because right as the colleges are asking for the applications, whether that's through the Common App, Coalition App, UC App, everyone is trying to submit at last minute, the application will go down. It's inevitable. The Common App just doesn't have the bandwidth for like literally millions of people to be logging in at one time. Please submit it early so that you're not in the boat where the whole Common App crashes, you're not able to submit your applications last minute, and then you have to miss out on the opportunity to apply to MIT because of some goofy shit. I will say though, if Common App goes down, even if you were procrastinating, let's just think best case scenario here, go ahead and email whatever college you want. Email MIT, email Harvard, and be like, yo, look, this is the situation. It happened. I wasn't able to submit my application. Is it cool with you guys if I submit it like a day late or a couple hours late? Will there be any repercussions? Just send them an email. 99% of the time, they're actually going to be really cool about it. They're used to this. This happens every year. They'll be fine. They'll accept your application, but just send that follow-up email. It doesn't hurt. It's only going to help you. Keep in mind, though, if you're applying to any kind of specialized programs, they're going to be a lot harsher in the way that they have these requirements, okay? So do your best to submit it 48 hours before that deadline. I want to wish you all the absolute best of luck with your college applications. I believe in you. This has been Pratik. Thank you all so much for watching. Peace.